Hi, welcome to the Holyoke Tarot. My name is Liam, and today we have a pick a card reading for air signs. So that is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius for the month of May 2026. So 3 piles today. We have our Rainbow Tarot deck with this, I think it's maybe just quartz. This Thoth deck, which is this little funky thing. And then the Infinite Doors deck, and that's this cool looking flat stone. Cool. And yeah, so you can pause now if you want to pick an object or a deck. Otherwise, just watch the whole thing and see what resonates. Cool, so let's get into it. For our air signs. Messages do we have for our air signs for the month of May? What messages do we have for our air signs for the month of May? Messages for our air signs. All right, there we have it. 6 cards. Okay. Let's go flip the wrong way. So we have the Hanged Man. Oh wait, one sec. Sorry. Let's just get the Four of Wands. I love this card in this particular deck. The Queen of Pentacles. The Five of Cups. The Nine of Swords. And the Ace of Wands. So, if we are taking this chronologically, are we taking this chronologically? I'm not sure. If we're taking chronologically, that starts with some really fun things and then maybe there's a little bit of hardship through the middle of the month, and then I think it ends on like an upward note, but I'm not actually sure that it's necessarily going to be chronologically. Let's just go through the spread and see what comes up. So we have the Hanged Man first, and I think that here, I mean, yeah, usually it's calling for like a perspective shift. I think that it could also be like your world turning upside down, like things that maybe might feel a little bit topsy-turvy, not necessarily in a bad way, but kind of like in a like, whoa, is this really happening kind of way. Especially with the Four of Wands here, it sort of feels like that's definitely a possibility. It's like a yeah, kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is actually happening, is the vibe I'm getting from the Hanged Man in this scenario. And then especially with this following Four of Wands, which like feels like dancing at a festival. Maybe it's like celebrating Beltane that's coming up, or May Day. There's definitely some like romance, some celebration, some like coming together. It doesn't necessarily have to be romance. It could just be like intimacy, which could be with friends or family. But definitely feels like connections and relationships. And then moving into the Queen of Pentacles. That's feeling like there's some yeah, I don't really get this card in this deck that often, and it's feeling to me very like caring, you know, like just the way she's holding that kind of like feels like a kind of like a sense of nurturing, especially with like the bunny nearby. So it could be like the sense of holding this shift, right? Holding this thing that you're kind of like, whoa, I can't believe this is really happening. Maybe it is this relationship or something that is coming to fruition that you didn't expect, and so you're kind of like nurturing that thing. And the pentacles could be like resources, your body, the earth, and with the queen, yeah, I'm not totally sure where that aligns. But then there's also the 5 of Cups and the 9 of Swords following that. The 5 of Cups, I kind of like to look at it in two ways. I do think the 5 of Cups can be like a sign of things going wrong, but I also think it can be a reminder to realize that you're looking at the things that are wrong instead of oh gosh, I'm going further away from the camera, instead of looking at the cups that are upright right here, right? So I think, and even also with the 9 of Swords, like both of these things are very much like you're kind of doing it to yourself, right? So I think this 5 of Cups could be like maybe it could be like past trauma if this is in a relationship situation, which it sort of feels like it is. It could be like, yeah, you've had maybe some past issues that you're projecting onto this person, and that's all you're seeing is like the potential for these things to go wrong, instead of looking behind you at these cups and realizing like, oh, okay, look, the rain is coming down, it's filling these cups, like, and not everything has to be this doomsday, like horrible things happening. So there's a potential to like have a different perspective. And I think even with the 9 of Swords, it's like you're being plagued by nightmares. And sometimes it's just like your nuisance mind trying to like stay busy, you know? And it doesn't always mean that whatever thing you're dreaming about or whatever is gonna happen, you know? So I think, yeah, there's definitely some mental anguish, I would say, coming. And yeah, I think, yeah, maybe the Queen of Pentacles is kind of a reminder actually to get into your body instead of into this ruminating headspace. So that could look like getting outside, being in nature, going camping since the weather's warming up, getting out for walks, like get even just sitting outside. Like you don't have to go for a walk, but like going to a park if you have one nearby and sitting on a bench for a little while and just listening to the birds or whatever. Like just get out of your head a little bit, so that you don't, you know, because I think sometimes excuse me, I think sometimes what can happen, what can happen when we have this thing that's happening to us that's like unexpected that we're really like stoked about, is then can come kind of this like questioning aspect of like, well, wait, is this really happening to me? And you know, and you kind of can get into this funky head state where you're wondering like, oh, how could this be happening to me or whatever, you know? And I think that it's okay to have those thoughts, but it's not necessarily going to work out in your best interest to constantly be in that headspace. And then I think the Ace of Wands is just encouraging you to like begin anew, right? This is a new thing. This is a new relationship, and begin it. Allow it to be something new. You don't have to carry all of your past stuff into it. You have that option. All right, here we go. Pile 1. That was the quartz. I need to do that at the beginning. I think it's rose quartz, actually. I don't know that much about them. Stones. This one is this kind of like funky little guy. I don't know what it is. And this is our Thoth deck, pile 2. Shuffle. Okay, there we have it. All right. Messages for pile 2 are air signs for May 2026. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Any messages for our air signs? May 2026. Any messages for our air signs? May 2026. Sorry. Any messages for our air signs? May 2026. Okay, let's go with that. Okay. 6 of Cups. Pleasure. 7 of Cups. Debauch. Never heard it like that. It's usually debauchery. 9 of Discs. Gains. Knight of Wands. The Knight of Swords. Interesting. Okay. Air signs. Interesting. Well, let's see. There's some movement here, obviously, with our knights. Pleasure, debauchery, and gain. Huh. What is that about? Let me see if there's any more cards anymore. Messages. More cups. 8 of Cups. And the 6 of Wands popped out. That's funny. So you have 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is discs, but you have 6, 7, 8 cups. So that's interesting. There's definitely some emotional reckoning potentially. There's definitely like a path or a pattern or like a ride, actually, is what I want to say, of your like emotional journey through part of this month, at least, because you're kind of going from like the 6, which kind of like looks nice and pretty, And like, oh, you could hang out by that fountain. This one, which is kind of like, oh, maybe that doesn't smell so great by there. And then this one is maybe a little unclear. It's kind of like broken maybe, and then also like nighttime. So yeah, but I mean, it does seem like there's a little bit more like resolution. It almost seems like you're kind of like, okay, things are like really, really good. Like I'm on this path and things are going really well. And then there's like a tiny bit of a hiccup, and then you kind of get into the state where you're like, oh no, like everything is ruined and yada yada yada, and like things are so bad, and then you maybe have a tendency to then go back to that each time, and then this is like your cycle. But this is encouraging you to keep going through that into this Eight of Cups, and allowing. I kind of actually like that, because then like the cup, it's only flowing from these four, right? So there's kind of like this essence of like recognizing that like you're allowed to have these emotional experiences without them completely taking over everything. Does that make sense? And so like there's this element of like, okay, you can stick here, you can stick to these sides, you can stick to these four cups, this emotional wave, this emotional experience, and then the rest of you can like recognize it for what it is, an emotional wave. So I think that's just a little bit of guidance for you this month, that like you are kind of going to be going through these cycles. But on the other end of that, we have the Six of Wands, which is victory, and the Nine of Discs, which is gain. So I do think there is some like fun things headed your way. I think there's maybe some like payoffs maybe for things you've been working towards, especially with the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Swords. Like they're both like doing the thing. Like this one is literally flying through the air, and this one is like getting ready to like go. So there does seem to be a sense of like fire building. Maybe you've kind of like, yeah, I do think maybe you've kind of been in this like watery bit for a little while. And then now there's kind of this sense of like this fire starting within you. And then you also have like the air and the earth, like the groundedness of the Nine of Discs to kind of like keep momentum towards whatever your passion is building towards this month, or your desires, like whatever is lighting that fire beneath you for the month. So yeah, I hope that resonates, some of you. Okay. Cool. Let's move on to the next. Okay, so let me put this away real fast. Sorry. We have our Infinite Door deck. I'm not sure why I'm deciding to put this away right now. Sorry. I will leave that. So we have our Infinite Door deck, and that's this funky flat rock. I feel like I need to get new decks, although even some of the decks I have I don't use all the time, so maybe I don't need to get new decks. I think there's just a desire to switch it up, What energies, what messages do we have for our air signs for the month of May? messages, energy do we have for our air signs for the month of May? I'm going to do this. This deck is kind of tricky. Let's do 5. 5 is a good number. Okay. So we have the 8 of Swords. The Strength card. The 6 of Wands. The 8 of Cups. That's a cool card. And the 5 of Cups. Okay. I feel like these two at the end is interesting because it feels like the 8 is sort of like, okay, we're good. Like I'm just gonna I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna move on. I'm like headed in a new direction, and then with this 5 after it, it's sort of like, maybe there's something I still need to figure out. And especially with like this one, the head is on fire, which made me think it's like kind of like walking away in like a heated exchange, which I normally wouldn't necessarily think of the 8 of Cups that way. But then this one, the head is like full of light, and so there's kind of like a little bit of a shift there of like recognizing your own divinity almost is what I want to say. But the first card is the 8 of Swords, and this person is like bound by their own hair, which is interesting. But then they have this like galaxy eye covering. I have that upside down. Do I? Yeah, it goes this way. Sorry, the Strength card goes that way. So she's like wrestling this jaguar, or the person is wrestling the jaguar. And then the wands, you're like flying away on this beetle. What are you telling me, cards? I definitely think there's like facing down a situation that you have maybe submitted to in the past. This could be like a relationship where you have a relationship where you have allowed your I don't want to say boundaries necessarily, but maybe you've like allowed your boundaries to be, but not necessarily. I think like it could be a situation, it could be a work situation, it could be a relationship situation where you've let yourself get into this position where you're bound, like literally by your own hair, right? So it is your own actions that are binding you, right? But you're doing it to people please maybe, but also just to maintain the connection, right? You're doing it to continue being in the relationship. You're doing it to continue being in the role, in the position you want to be in. And I think there's a reminder here to forge your own path, right? That you have the strength, literally the strength to forge your own path. And, you know, here you are setting out away from all these people. and it does feel like they're encouraging you in this card, not telling you to go away. So I do think there is maybe like the potential for there to be heated exchange, and you leaving the situation. But in that, you're going to kind of wind up, you're going to be looking at the things that have happened, and maybe there's going to be some regret about the way things went down or something, but there's a power in you here. There's like a resoluteness, there's like an optimism, there's like like a real power to be like, okay, now I'm moving forward, walking away from the thing, and I'm moving forward. Yeah. I think that is it, maybe. Yeah, pile 3. So, maybe that's something you already see on the horizon. Maybe that's something that you're kind of already been aware of happening, like that you're kind of consistently like having to like be the person who like has to like you're kind of getting like stepped on a little bit to maintain these relationships, career wise or romance wise or what have you. And I think enough is enough. At a certain point you have to pick yourself, and you have to like decide that you're not going to take it anymore, and the cards are telling you that you have what it takes to get out of that situation if that's something you want to do. All right, there we have it. Thank you if you've made it this far. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment or a question in the comments. If you have any desire to book a reading with me, my email is in the description, and or you can DM me on Instagram. And yeah, catch you in the next one.